So I call this session Challenges for the Modern Tribe, because the fundamental unit to a tribe is a woman and a man. And that progresses to a family, which progresses to a group of people. And this work, what we're going to talk about this afternoon, is all work that I suppose came to the fore and has got a lot of press from a guy called John Gray over in the States. And he very famously wrote a book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, which a lot of people will have read. But his latest work, which is Beyond Mars and Venus, I think is perhaps the most helpful book for relationships and couples there is available at the moment. And that's because our modern times has changed the game for men and women. So for many of us, our parents, who are largely our mentors, they grew up, they became a couple and were role mates. And that traditionally, back from tribal days, is men and women were very much role mates. There were very defined roles for men and women. So women very definitely were the nurturers, and men very definitely were the providers. They were the hunter-gatherers. The amazing thing is that supported our physiology. So the nurturer will be high estrogen. The hunter-gatherer, the provider, will be high testosterone. That hormonal mix is very definitely what helps create the magic in our lives. It's a huge part of why we are attracted to each other. We are attracted to someone who is the opposite to us hormonally. So, happy days for hundreds and hundreds of years, because as a society we accepted and expected women. We stayed home, we had children, we looked after them. Men went out and provided. We now live in a modern society where it is very accepted, and often from an economic point of view it's necessary now. And it's really healthy. You know, women enjoy being in the workplace. But it's changed the game for us in our relationships. And we need to understand why. Because some of us are experiencing dissatisfaction. Some of us, it's not so happy at home, and we don't understand why. And so when we dig in with employers, you know, there is a constant theme that comes back to us in that, oh, you know, such and such is turning up for work, you know, I don't know where his head is. And to me, this work, understanding this work solves everything, because it helps you understand what's going on for yourself, male or female, and then it also helps you understand what's going on for your partner. So, women, we are quite naturally estrogen dominant. Men, quite naturally testosterone dominant. But now, if we are in an environment where the woman is going to work, that act of going to work, that act of becoming a provider, will raise her testosterone. So quite often now, we come back into the relationship, come back home of an afternoon, and she has high testosterone, and he has high testosterone. and we wonder why we're not attracted to each other anymore. We wonder where the magic's gone. So what John Gray talks about is the very simple things that we can start doing within our relationships to help look after the fact that women want to and need to work, and men will continue to work, but how do we maintain the magic? How do we maintain connectedness within our relationships? And what I want to do this afternoon is just give you enough information, honestly, so you'll buy the book. Because there is so much in this, and we just simply don't have enough time to cover it. But I want you to understand how absolutely important this is, and I'd like you to see where it's playing out in your own lives. So what John Gray talks about is for women, can we start handing those handouts? So what John Gray talks about is for women, the importance of what he calls a Venus talk. So, at the end of the day, when you guys reconnect as a couple, the most important thing you can do, if you're a man, for your partner, is to ask her, honey, how was your day? And then all you have to do is shut up. It's actually really important that you shut up. Because what you will be predisposed to do is you will be predisposed as a man to solve whatever problem you think she has, and it's not your role. Your lady needs to and wants to feel listened to. That very act of listening is what lowers her testosterone and raises her estrogen. You will be 100% successful, and you haven't had to do a damn thing but listen. And when she's finished, there's only one more thing to say. Is there anything else? That's it. Like, guys, relax.
Does that mean too, like, they listen to what we say and then they agree with everything they say and then they do everything we ask?
Not necessarily.
Oh,
It is listening. It is listening. And what is really important for men is, as soon as the Venus talk is finished, you know what the best thing you can do is to go into your cave. And this is the thing that John Gray talks about for men. So important that men have cave time. And on those sheets that are coming around, you'll see there are two tools that I have created that are for you guys to take home and serve as a reminder of this Mars-Venus work, and give you the opportunity to start unpacking this and using this stuff at home. So on those you will see that there's suggestions around, well, okay, what's cave time look like for men? And you will be the only person who knows that for yourself, what that is. So it might be going down the shed and, tinkering around with the motor. It might be sitting on the veranda and having a beer of an afternoon. It might be going for a jog. It might be exercising, working out. Driving a car is listed. There's all sorts of things, but if you sit with that as a man, you will be able to identify for yourself what that cave time is. And so important that you have it, because unless you are engaging with your lady from a point of high testosterone, there's trouble. There's trouble. Because if you aren't high testosterone, you are stressed. And if you are stressed, you have cortisol in your system. And that will lead you to be estrogen dominant. And then you can't interact with your lady without getting defensive, without suddenly becoming angry. So important for men to understand and honour that need for cave time, and really important for us ladies to understand that as well. So, I can tell this story for the first time with Darcy in the room. This will be interesting. So, when our kids were little, and everyone who's had little kids will contend to the fact that, you know, from 4 o'clock on it gets a bit twitchy, kids are tired, dinner has to happen, you know, it can be a tough time. And for pretty much as long as we've been together, Darcy comes home, puts on the jug and goes out and has a cup of tea. He consciously, unconsciously, is identifying with his cave time. So before I understood this work, I probably wasn't affording that very well, because I'm in the kitchen trying to get dinner done and the kids are whinging and everything's happening, and all I can see is him sitting out on the veranda having a cup of tea. And so when he comes in at 6 o'clock and goes, "How are you?" and I say, "Fine." And you men know what fine means. We ain't so fine. Knowing this stuff completely changed how I felt about seeing him out on the veranda. Do you see what I mean? So I'm actually really happy to see him out there on the veranda having a cup of tea. Doesn't change the chaos of what's going on, but it certainly changes how I feel. Because I understand that is what's necessary for him to come back in to me and the kids and engage really well. Because he is. He has taken care of his own needs, his testosterone is high, and he can engage really well. He can support me and we can get the kids fed and get them to bed, and then at the end of the night, we're in a much better place for the magnet. Okay? So that's cave time for him. What's really important is when he comes in and says to me, "Honey, how was your day?" What I need to do is I need to download and talk about my day and the challenges that I've had. One caveat with the Venus talk, and it's very definitely written there in the handouts to take home. Ladies, you do not complain about your partner. This is for you to download about your day. You are downloading to connect with them, not to fix them. Very definite. Because if you're fixing something, suddenly you're on your male side. If you are trying to fix something. If you are communicating to connect with someone, you are on your female side. It will help raise your estrogen. So, we have this download, and then the cream on the top of a Venus talk is a hug. So, you know, non-sexual, come in for a hug, because what that creates is what Trevor talked about this morning, oxytocin. So skin on skin, touch, is what creates oxytocin. So you have that hug, and that completely, on a physiological level for a woman, can take her from being high testosterone to restoring her estrogen. Just those two simple things, an awareness of importance of Venus talk for women, the importance of cave time for men. Now women, please understand that if you are high testosterone and have been for a while, the last thing you will feel like is a Venus talk. And quite often in this room, there's already a lady who's put her hand up and said, well, no, I don't resonate with any of this, sorry. Like when I get home, the last thing I want to do is talk to anyone. She said, I think I want to go to my cave. Absolutely you do. You feel like you want to go to your cave because you are so far on your male side. And I can really identify with that, because when I first delved into this work, that was 100% me. If I'd allowed myself to become overwhelmed through the day and had taken too much on and all the rest of it, the last thing I felt like doing was downloading to Darcy. But once you understand this work and you lean into it and you start applying it, take it from me. It absolutely changes the dynamics. 100%. 100%. And it is so, so important that you just understand how, with our changing roles, how do we protect this soulmate bond? Because that's what we all want. We don't want to live with a role mate. We've all got the ability to play these different roles now. Technology, it's changed. We are all looking for soulmates. And this is how we handle these modern changes in our lives, by identifying with that. So, these neat little tools that I'm going to leave you with. I have had a little bit of fun with them because we can't take life too seriously. And there is his wheel and her wheel. And his wheel is for both he and she to understand what is going on for the female. And most men will attain to the fact that as females we're a little bit like this at times. And that's because of what's going on for us on a hormonal level. And please understand, this is based around a healthy female cycle. So for someone who's on hormone therapy or got other things going on, you really have to talk with a practitioner and understand what is individually happening for you. But based on a healthy female cycle, we go through various times where we need various things, both from ourselves and from our partners. And John Gray talks about 3 distinct phases. So there's you time, there's we time, and there's me time. And you will notice written around most of that wheel, very definitely, is you cannot make her happy. And this is where women, we need to take responsibility for the fact that most of the time within our cycle, within our monthly cycle, we have to understand and own the fact that we need to look after ourselves. And a lot of times we're not very good at doing that because we don't say no enough. We look after everyone else's needs. And we don't actually understand our own needs. So, first part of our cycle is called you time. And that's where our job, our role, what we do really helps us to feel validated, we're happier. And so our focus will be on what we're doing, our work. When we transition through to we time, that is certainly when physically, so physical touch, we're most responsive to that. From a caveman perspective, we are wired to reproduce. So as our estrogen is rising, as we've got an egg that's getting ready to be fertilised, it would make sense that we enjoy the physical proximity of a man. And so it is that window that you see on that wheel that we call we time that is when we are most responsive to the physical touch of our partner and we are turned on. But if you're at a stage that you don't have a physical partner, or let's say your physical partner is away and you can't be together, what is also outlined in those handouts is there's other ways that you can look after yourself in we time. So it might be going to a counsellor. It might be going to a financial planner, getting advice. So it's help. It's feeling support from someone. It doesn't have to be in a physical or a sexual way. That's how we can look after ourselves through we time. And then if you follow that around, we transition into me time. And that's when we have to look for social bonding. It's when we need to connect with friends. It's when we need to look after ourselves. So maybe it's going and having a spa day or whatever it is for you as a woman. And as long as our men are supporting us and encouraging us to do it, because let's face it, that's sometimes what we need. We won't do it for ourselves. We need a, go have lunch with the girls. That's what you might have to do for your lady if she's not looking after herself. Because what that will equate for you, the man, is you create a soulmate relationship because she's happy. And making her happy is what raises your testosterone. And that's something we ladies really need to understand. I mean, we race around doing everything and being everything for everyone to our own exhaustion at times. And we're not happy. And our men feel unsuccessful because we're not happy. It's really simple stuff. And we complicate it so much. So, his wheel. You will notice that it doesn't move, first and foremost. Men are pretty solid. And their core need is that to be appreciated. When a man feels appreciated in a relationship, it raises his testosterone. So can you see in a relationship that's struggling, what happens is this vicious circle in the wrong way. So no Venus talk at home, no one's afforded cave time, everyone's stressed, he's probably low testosterone, she's high testosterone. He's not experiencing success in this relationship because he knows that she's not happy. Where's the only place he can go to feel success? Work. He can achieve there. He can feel successful there. And yet we're at home feeling lonely, feeling uncared for. And that's the vicious circle that plays out in relationships when both of you don't understand what each of you need to maintain the magnet. And the magnet is simply him being high testosterone, her being high estrogen. And it is absolutely incredible when you understand this and just start implementing those two things. So, sacred cave time for him, a Venus talk for her. And it just starts to change the dynamics. Because especially if you're both working or both apart for the day, that first interaction when you both come back together sets the tone for the rest of the night. So if it's twitchy, if there's an immediate argument, if someone responds to the other person, it just sets it all right. It sets it all in motion. It's just the wrong motion. So this is why understanding this stuff is so powerful, because many of us didn't have that mentorship. As in, we watched parents where mum didn't work and dad did. And their roles actually just naturally supported that attraction, because your mum's role was a nurturing role which kept her estrogen high, and dad's role was a providing role which naturally kept his testosterone high. And that's something that I think about a lot now with our modern men, is now our men are quite naturally far more involved with the raising of children, and they do a lot more nurturing than they used to do. That's why cave time is so much more important for you guys, so that you do maintain high testosterone. I say to everyone, Darcy probably changed as many nappies as I did for 4 children. Like, that role of interacting and caring for and nurturing children will lower your testosterone as a man and raise your estrogen. So it's a really important dynamic for us all to understand within our relationships. Because what can happen is 2 people completely out of balance. So she's high testosterone, and we mentored a couple down in Melbourne that were exactly this. So when they met, she was running her own business, highly strung, high-powered designer, interior designer. He was something in finance. Anyway, high stressful environment, very unsupported, lots of mum issues. Magnet, full on. Like, they were highly attracted to each other. Just both completely out of balance. So she was really high testosterone. He was really high estrogen. Still a magnet. To the point that they got married. Then they had a little girl, didn't they? So when they came to us and we started working with them, it was because what happens is for us as women, nothing will restore our estrogen quicker than being pregnant, nurturing a beautiful little soul into the world. So for her estrogen had been completely restored. So she's back in balance. She's got this beautiful little girl. She'd given up work. Happy days. Except for the fact that he's still estrogen dominant. Nothing's changed for him. Still high stress environment. Lots of things that hadn't been dealt to. Plus he's now not experiencing any success in the relationship. So high estrogen. And yeah, they were in a lot of trouble. So for those of you who don't yet have a partner, still really important for you guys to understand what's going on for you, because there will be an attraction, whether you're on the right side hormonally or not. You will be attracted to the opposite of what you are. So females, we need to look after, we need to do those activities, we need to honour those things that keep us high estrogen, because we want to attract someone high testosterone. Really, really important stuff. Question? Yeah.
So what comes first at the end of the day? The Venus talk or
Oh, good question. Yeah, that's a really valid point, because when you come back together, you've both got that need. And so, thus the importance of both of you understanding. So, you know, that's communication, and yeah, you know, as in, well, yeah, so here's a window into the lives of Darcy and Juliane. So what I need to take ownership of is, if I've had a really stressful, challenging day, I need to own the fact that I need a Venus talk as soon as possible, and I will seek Darcy out and I will sit down beside him. What is lovely is, because we both understand, he will recognise that. And he'll probably put his cup of tea aside and ask me how my day is. So, yeah, because that's a great point, Michelle.
But I would imagine there would be days where it would have to be completely flipped.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And so that's where being aware of it as a couple is so powerful, because as much as I need a Venus talk, I know Darcy needs cave time. And so it's the consideration of both. And also, because I now understand how important cave time is for our relationship, I can make that call. I can go, well, yeah, I need to download some stuff, but I know Darcy's had, a challenging day. The loader didn't go back together the way he wanted it to. So
I think when you know your partners pretty well too, we all have that look of like, I need the downtime now.
yeah.
We all have
Well,
that.
and look, we've got to communicate. Communication is everything. And when you know this stuff, the beautiful part is you can talk about it. You can talk about it. Because you know when someone says, listen, I need to chat. It's really, really important stuff. So what I haven't told you is how to set up the wheel for her. So quite simply, what you need to do is, there is that red triangle. There is that red section. And that red section gets set up on the first day of her cycle. So her menstruation, that's where you set it. You set it up to that, and you've got the keys to the kingdom for the rest of the, you understand what's going on. Isn't that exciting? Like, you don't have to guess. Well, this is why. Jimmy, you come home and give Dale a cuddle this week, and you get a completely different reaction to last week, yeah? And you don't know why. Well, now you do. Okay? That's what... Because, okay, so without this knowledge, this is what happens. This is what happens. So, Michael gets home, he's had a shit of a day, and he can feel that, so he grabs a beer or grabs a cup of tea and goes out the back. If Michelle doesn't understand what we've just all talked about, you know what we do as women? we go, oh, he doesn't like me anymore. He doesn't want to connect. He never talks to me. Like, so I've done something wrong. I said something to him this morning. I know it. And like, this is the stuff that goes on in our head. And we've created all these stories. By the time he comes in, back in, and he comes back in, ready to engage, and we go, and we're going to say to him, I know something's wrong. You don't talk to me anymore. I need you to say something. And he's like, what the? I just had a cup of tea. Like, okay. But, yeah? This is what happens when we don't understand what's going on for our partner. You know how Trevor said a little while back, like he can't, we very rarely do anything on camera together. Because unless Trevor is talking and engaging with someone, he has what I call the resting bitch face. It's terrible. We can never do anything on camera together because when I play it back...
All I'm doing is thinking, for God's sake.
And this is the thing. And so we as women quite often misinterpret what our men are doing up here because we're reading their face. Because if we looked like that, there'd be shit going down. Like,
I'm hearing you.
this is, you know, and look, this is, please, it's an audio book. It's a physical book. If anyone wants to have a look at my book, I've never highlighted and dog-eared, and it's so good. It is so good because men are from Mars and women are from Venus. And when we get together properly and it works, there's a lot of magic to be had. But we are completely different. We have completely different needs and our roles have changed. Big time. From what we saw from our mentors that we learnt from, consciously and subconsciously. And we just have to understand that. Because it is the foundation of the tribe. You want a happy workforce. And that's, you know, like the companies that bring their staff to this stuff, the organisations that invest in this stuff, you guys are changing the world. Because people don't know that they don't know, and they turn up to work and they're cranky, their lives are in disarray, they then do a rubbish job at work and you're hammering them because they're doing a rubbish job at work and no one's happy. And we could be if we understood and we honoured this stuff. So this is why we spend this afternoon on it. It is really so important. Because we all deserve to feel like someone's soulmate. Makes all the difference. And we all deserve to feel happy and satisfied. And when you understand what your needs are, you can honour and look after yourself and be that person. To finish things off, here's a piece of gold for you men. Be aware. A dozen roses, the grand gesture, that you managed to remember? Valentine's Day, her birthday, just because the roses were on special and you saw them at Woolies. A dozen roses, 1 point. Trav, are you listening? This will change your life, man. A dozen roses, 1 point. 10 single roses, 12 points. It is the little gestures. It is the little things that you do that make all the difference.
So a $5,000 horse doesn't cut it. It's exactly. Oh, there we go. See, exactly the same. Yeah.
It really, really does. And just so the ladies don't feel left out, my final words to you. The words that your man needs to hear. You are right. That is a fantastic idea. Those things, when you understand those things.
What if he's terribly wrong?
Caroline, don't point it out. Truly, don't point it out.
Allow me to do that.
Because your partner will come to that realisation some point in the journey, and what's more important is that you maintain the soulmate relationship. So, if the relationship, here's a good one. If you are right, and the relationship means more to you than being right, apologise anyway. That's what's most important. Is it more important that you're right? Or is it more important that you and your partner maintain a soulmate relationship? It's only our ego that needs to be right. It really is. It is only our ego that needs to be right.
That includes work too, guys. It's not just relationships.
Yeah.
You're at work and you have to be right. What's far more important is your working relationship.
Yeah.
Far, far more important. Particularly nowadays. It's hard enough to get staff anyway. So if it's more important to you to build a staff team that are going to go, apologise anyway. The truth will set you free. The truth will come out in the wash. And God forbid you might have been wrong. Really important, not just relationships. Life.
For sure. So it's little simple steps. It is little simple steps that will, if you have the sense that the momentum is in the wrong direction, it is those cave time, Venus talk, understanding that his core need is to feel appreciated for what he does, for who he is in that relationship and outside the relationship. Her core need is to be seen, is to feel seen. How do we feel seen? When someone listens to us.
If you're full of testosterone, ladies, don't ask him how was his day. You got that? Don't ask him how was his day. You got the whole thing screwed around the wrong way.
Yeah.
Just stop. Let him, how was your day?
Because if he tells you how his day was,
Jesus,
and it will be full of challenges and, whatever that day is, for you immediately, this is another problem to solve.
Yep, testosterone.
So again, oh God, so I've got to help him. I've got to support him. What can I do for him? So that does nothing for your testosterone. It's just going to continue to skyrocket. So what John Gray talks about is, so if we as women feel, he's not talking to me, we don't, we're not connecting anymore, what we need is we need to talk. We need to talk, and our partner needs to understand that they just have to listen. That's how we reconnect. Because that's how we lower our testosterone.
This is one of the most powerful sessions all this weekend. You're probably feeling that already. Now, the other thing that's important, because she's too young, how many in the room are postmenopausal? Because today is really important. It's a simple gig, guys. It's 2 days after full moon, wind back 6 days, that's the wee time. Tonight is the last of your 6 days, because full moon was Thursday night.
Good thing you picked up on that. So on his wheel, so on the wheel that sets the calendar for both of you, you will see the full moon is listed for that reason. So, you may be a lady that no longer has a cycle from which to set that dark red bit. If you don't, what you do is you set that wheel to the calendar full moon, because then that helps you both track how to look after yourself, ladies, how to look after yourself, because for 2/3 of your cycle, you have to look after you. Your partner can support you in activities that are for you, but you have to look after you.
About transitioning, ladies.
Yeah.
Well, and that's where, so that's
Well, yes, you
where,
do.
but
Yes, you
that's
do.
where she and you need to understand, and talk. Be in touch, she needs to be in touch with how she's feeling and, and very definitely understand those tools that you have.
The most important thing, Steve, is don't go and live in your cave. That's what bloody men do. It's too hard. And there's another thing with this is, if you're away from your partner for a long period of time, I always thought fly in, fly out, work with this for years. 2 weeks on, 1 week off. Kid 16 years old, couldn't possibly have been with his father for 12 years. Teenagers run amok. That wasn't the primary, I thought it was, but it's not. Mum who's doing all the providing, and she goes through her wee time, and you're never there to say, she gets resentful. And it's that resentful that drives the teenage thing crazy. You got that? Just understand what's going on. And the other thing that Juliane hasn't alluded to is she doesn't want the date, guys, on Friday night because the football cancelled. Okay, you get that? She wants to, you book the date in U time to have the night in we time. The longer you put that out there and appreciate it, the more she grows that you care about it. The more she cares about it, the higher the probability that, who knows?
And what that does is over that time, every time she thinks about going on that date, every time she anticipates and feels cared for, it builds her oxytocin. And you all saw before in the tribe, oxytocin, it is the love drug. So throughout that whole period, her oxytocin is building simply in anticipating what's going to happen. You guys haven't had to do anything yet, except suggest that you care for your partner because you've thought about her in amongst work and kids and pressure and, whatever else is going on for you guys. And also just Remember the 12 individual roses. It doesn't have to be, you know, dinner at the Ritz. Maybe it's a cup of tea together. Maybe it's, you know, when I get home Friday afternoon, you know, whatever the kid, like we're going to send the kids down the creek because I want to sit down and just be together. Doesn't have to be anything grand.